From her point of view. The restaurant door swung open, and Hazel Gemstone felt her young, nubile dancer's body caressed by the breeze. Then she saw the face of the man at the door. It was Robert. Her full gravitational breasts responded, swelling beyond their already generous dimensions. Ah, Robert. She had to repress the gasp of shock, the tingle in her perfectly shaved loins as she beheld him. He was, at 48, a man in his prime, full-bellied, grey-haired, asthmatic, and balding. The perfect complement to a 20-year-old former dancer, model, and Rhodes Scholar like herself. Robert had been her English professor during her freshman year at Yale. She remembered with deep gratitude how the great man would check in on her each day, sometimes pausing to look down her shirt. She had been so flattered, and not at all creeped out. Hearing a rustling, Hazel looked up from her 30-pound wine glass.
Hello,
a high, squeaky, unbearably sexy voice said. It was Robert, standing right before her. "Robert!" she exclaimed. Flooded with excitement, she felt her nipples harden. I had not expected you."
"Yep, it's me,"
he muttered. Hazel sighed. How beautifully Robert cut through all the preamble and pretensions of modern-day life with his blunt, salty way of speech. Her nipples hardened further, pressing against the thin fabric of her bra until she feared they might burst through.
"Oi! Where's the John in this joint?"
muttered Robert. Actually, since Robert is basically an authorial insertion, he probably would have spoken at some length about the author's philosophical, moral views, all while Hazel and her perky triple Ds listened in delight. But I really don't have the stomach for that, so let's just cut the whole thing out, shall we? "It's to the left," Hazel answered demurely, her dark eyes flashing in her childlike face, her vivacious but shy breasts straining further still against the thin fabric of her t-shirt. Just as Robert began to leave, Hazel gasped. The proximity of such a great man, like Robert, had left her unspeakably aroused. Blood poured down her legs. She had gotten so excited her period had started. Sighing, she tightened her firm, taut thighs and pulled the blood back into her uterus. As Robert entered the restaurant bathroom and took approximately 35 minutes doing God only knows what, Hazel was left deep in thought. Robert was the only man for her. She knew that now. She would have to tell him. Finally, Robert returned. Though her nipples had finally relaxed, when Robert looked down upon them and sneered,
"Nice."
The excitement returned to them. Hazel giggled. She found Robert's behavior delightful, flattering. How could she feel otherwise? "Robert," said Hazel, her breasts priming themselves like two round, pert, gravitational soldiers preparing for war. "I'm still in love with you. Could I hang out in your apartment, cook and clean for you as you write your masterpieces? I would like nothing more than to be ogled by you for eternity, whilst you wax on and on about the meaning of life."
"Sorry, babe,"
Robert said.
"Look, I'm a man in my prime, and you're getting a little old for me. I've traded you in for a younger model. Tiffany. Like the car I used to drive back in college, Tiffany is sexy and closer in age to a kindergartner than she is to me." Hazel was shattered, but struggled to bear her heartbreak bravely. "Wow,
That's funny, she said through tears as her breast struggled in sorrow. I've got a little 18-year-old sister named Tiffany. She just started college.
Yep, that's my girl,
answered Robert with a grin.
She may be 18, but she doesn't look a day over 14. Well, see ya. I'm just here to get takeout.
Hazel stifled the tears that threatened to flow from her nipples, wetting the thin fabric of her t-shirt. A good man was hard to find, and even harder to hold on to. God bless you, Robert Copperfield, she murmured. Or perhaps it was her heartbroken yet resilient breasts that spoke. God bless you. The end.